All right, everybody. Day two. Day one wasn't really official. That was me and Ryan talking about the coronavirus. But today we have somebody we wanted to bring on here that I thought of that I was like, one thing that I think a lot of people watching this are going to want to know will be, how do we put our mind at ease in the real estate world, in our own world? And there's nobody better in our local market space than Mike McCann to do that. So, Mike, I appreciate you coming on today, man, and during these crazy times.
My pleasure.
So, looks like you've traveled out to your backyard in isolation and enjoying the sun.
Yes. I got to get some sunshine. Yeah.
So let's talk about a couple of things, Mike. There's no timeline on this because everybody's going to be sitting home watching. So, first, last time you and I did a video interview, it was really good. We were talking about you transferring over to KW, and at that time, the market was, and we kind of both mentioned it in the video. We said, hey, at some point this has to end, right? It can't always go the way it's going. It's too good, and you knew it. I knew it. And none of us could have predicted, hey, it's going to be a virus that's going to stop the entire world. So how have things been going at KW for you, and what's going on with your squad right now and around you? What are you seeing as one of the most dominant, agents in the entire country? You're going to have a pretty big voice right here.
Well, it's KW thing's been great. But let's, the topic of the day is what's happening in the market right now. What are we, how is everyone dealing with it? How are we going to survive? And that's, been the big topic of the day, so it's the one thing that I've seen about 5 or 6 ups and downs in my career. And that is from the savings and loan bailout of the late 80s, early 90s. Was horrible. Then we had the stock market crash, the dot-com bust back in 2000. Was it bad? Not horrible. It was bad for a bit. And then we had the 9/11, which was horrible. And we had the 08, which was horrible. This is a little bit different. This kind of reminds me of the combination of 9/11. And I was selling real estate when the AIDS epidemic was bad, and that was devastating too. This kind of reminds me of both, as crazy as that is. I do think that it's going to get a little worse before it gets better, but this is the time where you have to educate yourself. You have to come up with systems, and you have to reach out to your people. Right now, our business is shut down, and it's going to remain shut down for at least a month, maybe 2 months. It's going to adversely affect the market. I do fundamentally believe real estate is going to come back strong because there's low interest rates. There are lowest inventory in 20 years and big demand, at least in our marketplace. But we're going to go through a brutal time right now because people will be losing their jobs, and some will come back and some will not. So it's kind of unprecedented, where before we had a bad market, we could just fight it out. We could work. Now we're sitting here on Zoom. I can't do anything. We're learning how to adopt. I did do a listing appointment on Friday on Zoom, and it was just unbelievable. We connected. I got the listing, but I can't show the house. So we're going to adopt. It really is a mindset that, yes, this is going to be a setback, but I'm going to take advantage of this setback, and I'm going to invest in my education. I'm going to do things that I've been wanting to do forever. So as a team right now, we are just all doing Zoom get-togethers, but we're reading books. We're listening to blogs. We're getting our systems down together. We're updating our list. I am not laying anyone off. I'm fortunate. I've been in the business a long time, and I saw early on people grow, and then they live above or beyond their means, and the market changes and they lose everything. So I saved my pennies. And just like in 08, I told my staff, I said, I don't care if we don't sell another piece of real estate for the next year. I have your money. We're going to, no one's getting laid off, and we're going to continue our marketing. And actually, we're probably going to increase our marketing. So I am positioned for that. The sad thing is many people live week to week or month to month and can't weather a storm. And it's brutal. So right now I'm trying to reach out and help people, make sure nobody goes hungry, and help people. That's the best thing we can do today, is help people. But we have to invest in ourselves and invest in our time. So yes, there's going to be struggles. I mean, it's brutal. All our builders have shut down. I mean, they have this, all these projects we were going to settle on in the process, and everything is shut down. That's going to be adverse for the next 2 or 3 months. I mean, I think by the summer we'll be back, but hopefully people can weather the storm. But it's going to be a tough time. So my advice is I'm still working like crazy. I mean, I got on this call a little bit late because I have some issues that I'm dealing with right now that were crisis mode, and we're just trying to function and learn. But we will learn and grow, and this will pass. And I don't think this is the end of the world. And I'm a gratitude guy, so it's so funny. As silly as it might sound, but yeah, every day when I'm taking a shower, I thank God that I have heat, hot water, food, the basics. And everybody thinks that's silly, but you know what? Today we still have. Everyone has food. Well, not everyone, but most of us have food, heat, hot water. It's not been. There's not a nuclear bomb has not gone off. As bad as this pandemic is, it's not like a nuclear bomb went off and we don't have communications and it's the end of the world. So it's going to be a tough time where we have to help each other out. And that's the most important thing. We have to stay healthy right now. We have to comply with the law. We're not leaving the house. We can't show anything. We're going to comply with the law. But while we're doing that, I'm not going to sit here and just watch Netflix all day. I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to support my family and friends and team. And so that's kind of where we are. Long term, I think we will be fine. Friends that are in the restaurant business, friends who own different small businesses are going to be hurt, but hopefully they will recover also. Real estate, I'm not as concerned about because of the various reasons I just mentioned. Sorry, I just rambled.
No, Mike, your voice was, is going to be important for people to hear what you just said. And I listened very closely to exactly what you were talking about. I think that I kind of ran through the checkpoints in my head, and I actually really wanted to hear from you personally. Forget the whole thing today, but like, because you've seen 3 of these cycles or 6 of these cycles of like when these things happen, you can feel the air more than other people can, right? So I was talking to my partner Ryan and people that maybe didn't experience 2008. I have all the similarities, like certain fear that you can taste and certain things that are happening and certain unknowns. And the one thing that I've kind of been looking at from my perspective, that's my only cycle I've been in. So your perspective is 5 times greater than that. And you could say, okay, we can combine the issue in the 80s to the 9/11, or, you could combine that and say, this is where we are, which means the good news is, pending it's not the end of the world, you get out of it. And the one thing I looked at with it was there is, in 2008, and you'll remember this very well, was like, there was a fear of like, I don't know how we're going to get out of this, right? There was a real fear of unknown, more so than right now, which is like, everybody do your job, stay in your house, this ends, right? There's a real ending conclusion to this.
There is a real ending to this. And we've been through longer cycles. I mean, when I just got out of high school, 79 to 82, the country was a nightmare. Interest rates were 21%. We couldn't get jobs. It looked like it was the end of America. They were burning our flag in Iran. No one could get jobs. Unemployment was insane. It looked like it was never going to change. Around 82, 83, things started to change. And then we had the roaring 80s. And they changed the tax laws. 89, 90, the market collapsed. That was a real estate depression. I mean, you wanted to be, and as a sales guy, you wanted to be the third agent listing a property because it was so bad. Things were taking 2 years to sell. People were losing 30, 50%. And I was in real estate at that time. And what I did was I didn't give up. I kept working and working and working. And people needed me more than ever. And I came up with solutions. And so I went from in the mid 80s to this agent in the marketplace, watching all these people, because it was the roaring 80s, was growing like crazy, and all these big shots doing. People thought because the market was good and they were making a lot of money that they were geniuses. Well, they were entrepreneurs and they did some things, but the market carried them up. Then when the market collapsed, they had never prepared for that and they lost everything. That stuck in my mind back in the 80s, when in the 90s, when the market collapsed, just watching these big shots all lose everything. And then, but feeling bad for homeowners who couldn't sell and were losing money. And that took about 6-7 years to get out of that down cycle. That was from probably 1989, 90 to about 97 was when that market came back. But I will tell you, there were people, and I don't like to benefit from people's losses, but there were a lot of people who invested back in those times when no one else was. And when no one would touch real estate because it was hurt so bad. I mean, the savings and loan bailout was a government agency formed to handle all the bankruptcies of the banks and all the people losing their homes. But there were people that bought, you could have bought condos in Bridgeview for $30,000. Nobody would buy them. Is that crazy?
Jeez.
I mean, that was crazy. But the market was so bad. But so people that bought in those 90s became multimillionaires by, late 90s, early 2000s. And some of the stuff that I bought back then, triplexes in Queen Village for $75,000.
Oh my gosh.
Can you believe that? And these were ones that people had paid $230 for, but I wasn't like, I got these great deals. They had been on the market for a year. I mean, like no one was touching stuff. So in downtimes, you can, and there will be people that will lose everything. There will be people that will invest a lot, people that have saved for the rainy day. My hope is this downturn will be a short-lived one. Once this disease is under control and we can go back out on the street, and then restaurants will start to come back, jobs will start to come back. And I do see an end. I think this is a shorter window. I believe, the government's going to provide the stimulus that will help people carry them. And I just pray and hope a lot of my builders and a lot of my people get grace periods. Just like, to be honest, some of my tenants have already said, Mike, we're both in the restaurant business. We're not going to be able to pay rent this month. You know what? I'm giving them a grace period. That, like, we have to be graceful with each other to help out. It's not like anybody's freeloading. So in downtimes, that is when you can build wealth over time. But I don't think this is going to, I think when we come back, there might be some softness, but it's still going to be a very strong real estate market. And we just have to not give up. Our industry will weed out. There's going to be many agents in real estate that can't carry themselves through this time and will leave the business. And that's okay. There's going to be other agents that buckle down and learn from this. Ian, this is a learning experience that will be stuck in your mind, just like 9/11, just like for me, the 80s, what the late 80s were. I never forgot that. So I always lived well below my means. I always saved first and invested back in my business, but always saved. So this is going to be a big learning experience. And, we will get out of it. And I believe we'll be out of it in a shorter period of time. I just want to just try to help the people that need help, and but be tooled so that the agents that are investing in themselves now, when the market comes back, will be prepared and will grow. So that's where I always grew. In the downturn, I just kept plugging away, and then the market came up and I rose higher and higher.
Yeah, that's that. I look at something you said, and we've talked about this many times before in different videos and so forth, which is, and I always say, I was texting my partners at Hard Money Bankers and saying, guys, I'm so glad we ran lean. I'm so glad we're lean, and you're like, well, what does lean mean? And in times like this, you're like, you've seen this 3 or 4 or 5, 6 times now, and you saw this in the 80s, and you go, whoa, no matter how I operate, I'm running lean. And lean means not a lot of overhead, not a lot of expenses, because it's so easy to get caught up in that in an upswing. And right now, what we're seeing, there's a bunch of lenders that we were, I guess, competitors with that are just overnight out the door because they had too much payroll. They had, they figured the market was going to cover up all their mistakes. And we were always just built for lean as possible, have as much fat trimmed. And because the lesson is now, and now it's a game of attrition, right? I'm sure you have realtor friends and companies that were spending money here, spending money there, and they are just bleeding right now. And I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying it's a lesson to be learned for everybody. So the companies that are going to get smashed first are going to be the ones that had the highest overhead. How long can they write a check for? How many months did they save for to prepare for an event like this? The ones that, are marginally profitable to begin with, don't have a lot of overhead, but maybe more than they should have, will learn their lesson. They'll take a lick on this because it'll bounce back, but then they'll go, okay, guys, next time we're not spending money on this. We're not spending money on this. They won't get knocked out of the game. So I think there's a few people that get knocked out. I already have seen a few that couldn't last a week and a half. And you obviously said it, you came on the show right away and said, hey, it's your people. This is how we're doing it. This is what we've got for the next year. Like you knew how to prepare for something like this. And, fortunately we ran on that principle from day one when we built this company. At times it's hard because there's easy money in front of you. You can spend it on this, you can spend it on that, but that's, it's easy when the market's good. When the market's not good is when you stress test your own personal caliber and your business. And hearing from a guy like you says, guys, I've seen this 6 times. This is how I survive for the 7th time. You didn't survive 6 by mistake. So, what are you guys doing? Is the entire retail industry, it has to be locked up. So the next thing that you have is high inventory in 3 months. And then I think what you're going to have happen is if this high inventory drives prices down temporarily, all they have to go is we have a vaccine or the things on the decline, businesses open back up and that inventory gets swallowed back up. So it's going to be a huge rush of high inventory immediately met by a huge demand. It's going to be kind of a weird thing to see, I think.
Well, yeah, no one, the one thing, again, being around a long time, no one knows anything for sure, but to me, the fundamentals, we actually had the lowest inventory in 20 years. So I don't even anticipate us having incredible we need more inventory. Sales were down to about 16% last year in our marketplace, not prices, sales, and it was primarily because of a lack of inventory. So we need actually inventory, at least in our marketplace. So I don't see, I do see people coming back. The sketchy area that I see are not the professional people, the doctors, the lawyers. They're going to all have, everybody's going to have those jobs, and that's still going to be a market. It's the millennials, which is a big segment of our population. Maybe they were restaurant workers. Maybe they were in businesses that didn't survive. Unfortunately, I don't know what the numbers are, but 70% of people or businesses are living week to week or month to month, and those are the ones who are going to struggle. And if they lose those businesses, new people will fill those in. So that'll take some time to absorb. I think that rates, again, the fundamentals are there. The demand is there. The rates are low. The inventory is low. So if that grows, we can handle that. So I'm more worried about other industries than real estate. For us, I always, and people will learn, right? You got to not run a lean machine. You have to run a lean machine, but you have to have reserve, and both in your life and you have to save first. But in down times, I'm not going to cut back. I'm going to look at my expenses. Maybe I can negotiate it. Zillow already said, we're only going to charge us 60% of the fee this month, or Realtor.com, one of them. So yes, I'll take any concessions I can get from my vendors who I've been supporting for a long time, and I'll look at numbers. But in the downturn, I practically tripled my marketing expense in not 08, at the end of 08, 9 to 10, and I made sure I stayed profitable so I could keep the team going. I just didn't need to make as much as I was, and then when the market came back, I moved up to the next level. The one thing in times like this, people need us more than ever, and they need not what's best for us, not what's best to make a sale. They need what's best for them. So I'll be meeting with people now, and I'll be telling them to hold off, or I'll be telling them to move on. We've had a lot of people trying to cancel transactions over these last couple of weeks, and you have to find out why. Why is that? And blah, blah, blah. And then some of them, it makes sense. Most of them, it doesn't. It's fear that they want to cancel. But we have been able to get some concessions from sellers. Hey, you know what? Can you carry, they're not sure about their jobs. Can you carry 2 months payment for them? They'll still settle, but carry 2 months payment. So we're right now, I have been in crisis mode, keeping deals together, helping people get to the table on pending transactions. We're not really selling anything now, and we probably won't. A couple of lots we just sold, but we're not allowed in properties right now. But keeping deals together and helping people. And then when the market recovers, if they should sell or if they should buy, and I will tell anyone, you know, interest rates are low. Our market, Philadelphia, is on a rebound for the next 50 years. We had 60 years of decline in Philly. We've had about 15, 20 years of increasing. And I heard it at the BIAA, Building Industry Association meeting, that, you know, from top economists, that the projection for Philly for the next, if we decline for 60 years, then we're going to go up for 60 years now. So I bought into that. I believe that. I see that. So I'm very optimistic. So if my child, my family, my best friend wanted to buy today, I would tell them absolutely buy. There's no question about it, as long as you have a job, you know. So
Yeah, so I like it though. Like, you know, right now it's hard to stay off social media. It's hard to not turn the TV on because it's just vomiting fear right now. And you're right. Like, you're talking to your clients and they're going, we're pulling out, we're done with this. And you're going, well, why? Like, what has changed? You know, I get it. You know, you might have a layoff coming, but hopefully I doubt that you were buying this house to begin with because you need your next paycheck to buy the house. Right. So, you know, where else are you going to put your money? Putting it on your mat. If we're in that much trouble, putting your money under your mattress isn't going to save
or pay
anybody.
rent. Or what are you going to do? Pay rent? I mean,
right.
They have to pay rent. You might as well own a property at historically low rates, some of the lowest rates ever. Yeah, and then there's always investors out there. You're going to see investors that are, you know, coming in for the kill for if the market stays bad, or people picking up the people that were hurting. But historically low interest rates, historically low demand. As soon as we can get back out there, I believe we will be pretty good. Absolutely pretty good. But so right now we're going to retool. We're going to really do all the things. So you're sitting at home. I have not. Yesterday I worked from 8:30 until it was like 9 o'clock at night. You know, it was nonstop on Zoom, on reading, on follow up, on talking to clients, talking to past clients. I've been nonstop. It's nonstop. I'm just not. I shaved today. I didn't shave yesterday, and I don't have a tie on. I'm sitting in my backyard. I have to, you know, leave my house at times because I'll drive them crazy. I already did a 200 push-ups. Yeah. Also, make sure you physically stay in good shape. You have to, you know, physically, mentally, and emotionally, and you have to really, again, I was born this way, so I never planned this, but I'm a gratitude guy, and I have to look at it. This is horrible, right? It's horrible. I can't believe this is happening to me. But you know what? We're not landing on the beaches of Normandy to fight a war. Do you know what those guys went through? We've not had a nuclear bomb go off, and we have no communication, and so as bad as this is, it's not. Most of us have food, housing, and electricity, hot water. So we're like blessed, man. We still live in better than most people in the history of the world. As bad as this might be, it's not. This is not the end of the world, man.
Not at all. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it can always be worse, right? Like, it could always.
It
be
really
worse.
can. You could not have imagined this. No one could have ever said America's going to shut down for a month or two. I mean, no one could have ever said that. I would have said, you're crazy and you're on, you know, what are you smoking? But it is. And so you never know. I mean, God forbid, it was a nuclear bomb went off or a terrorist attack, and all our system, our satellites got shot down or messed up, and we had no communication. I mean, things could be worse. So you just have to stay grateful for for what you have. You have to, and no matter what you have, you can always help someone, and helping someone helps you. And that's the one thing I always try to come from, a giving first. I never ask anybody for anything personally. I try to give, and that gives me joy. Not because I give, but because by me giving, it actually helps me. And today we have to be compassionate. We have to help people out. We have to comply with the law, and we have to do our part. And then we have to invest in ourselves so we can help our clients. You need to do what's best for your clients, and then good things will happen to you. And that fundamental will never change.
Yeah, I mean, you've survived six cycles with it, and I think that perspective for everybody. Yeah, I had a bunch of people on the Facebook Live as soon as you started talking about that, going, "Oh, that's so true. That's so true." Going, it's not that bad in terms of what it could have been, or 20 or 30 or I don't know, like 50 or 60 years ago, when you have exactly like a bomb going off, going on the beaches in Normandy, young men dying for lost cause, like that kind of stuff is another. I think it's just more shocking. I think the thing right now we have is that it's shocking that two things could happen. One, that the government could shut down the entire world in a week. That's incredible to me, that could be done. And then two, it's just because the good times are rolling in the greatest boom we've ever really encountered. It's more of a shock to the system at this point, right? So, if this was a tough time, and like when you said back in the early 90s, and then something like this came along, it was almost like, great, what's next? Like, we expect that. Right now, everything was so good, so easy. Something had to kind of set the ship off a little bit and set it off its course a little bit. So, but temporary, I think, is the big word, as long as everybody does what they're supposed to do. Like, there's, clearly ways that can be to minimize and mitigate the risk and the damage that can be done here. And I do think other industries, like you said, are going to be greatly affected. Like you said, the restaurant industry and the commercial, like the retail commercial industry. I mean, rent is their biggest overhead, man. And if they got no income, and most of them are living like 1 or 2 weeks ahead, it's hard for them to plan for that. And, I think reaching out to other people is really the way to do it, in terms of like giving what you can, for sure. There's no sense in, I would say to people, like, either we're all in trouble together or we're all not in trouble together. You're not going to be the one person that survived the apocalypse. So don't be that guy. don't be the guy hoarding like garage fulls of hand sanitizers, right? Like, don't do that. We're all in or out of this together. So, but I think you've probably established a lot of peace with a lot of people listening to this. I can see a lot of reactions that are coming in, that people are happy to know that, okay, Mike McCann, the legend, is still in this game with us. Everybody's some smaller variation of what you're doing right now. So it's like, what's a guy like this doing to stay alive? And you're just like, hey, this is what I did. This is what's going to happen next. And it's temporary, and it could be worse. I mean, that summarizes what you've just said to us. So keep your chin up and revamp your systems at home. You don't lay around watching Netflix all day. That's a good use of time.
Yeah, you invest in yourself. That is your biggest resource, investing in yourself. You have downtime. So I'm making sure, again, now's a great time to do a physical routine. There's health, there's wealth, there's physical, and there's mental. So make sure you do all those categories. Nothing more important. I mean, you're right. I was looking at, this is our best spring in 3 years, man. We were booming. In February, we sold 90 deals. It's one of my best months ever.
Gosh, so
and then I could be like, oh, the market collapsed. Poor me. And yeah, that's true. But the reality of it is, it's not just me. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to sit here and just mope and poor me. I'm going to never give up. The harder you work, the smarter you work, the better you get. And I'm going to invest. All my staff is home right now doing blogs. They're Zooming. The only Zooming I ever knew before last week was on my motorcycle, when I would be Zooming around. Now this week I've already done like 8 or 9, not this week, since Friday, I've probably done about 8 or 9 Zoom things. And it's pretty cool, man. So we're going to adjust. Our business is going to change, but you have to dig deep. You have to not give up. You can't have the poor me's. You got to help someone else that'll help you both mentally and emotionally and spiritually. But invest in yourself. Don't waste your time don't waste your time just sitting around feeling bad. We will get through this. I do believe. I'm 100% confident this is not going to be 90 to 96 downturn. I believe this is going to be a short window, and that we're going to come out of it. And there's going to be people that need help and some struggles, but I do not believe this is the collapse of America or the collapse of our marketplace or the end of the good times. But you will learn from this to say, you know what? I need not even 3 months of reserve. I need a year of reserve, and just in case something else ever happened. I always live well below my means, and I never changed my mindset from when I had nothing and I struggled to, being, successful. I didn't become like, oh, I'm the real estate man. I'm the same person I was when I had nothing. And when I had nothing, I said, if they can do it, I can do it. And I just kept plugging away. And my growth was slow and steady. Today, I see so many people grow so much faster than I did because of the tools available today and stuff. So you just got to plug through this, and you got to believe in yourself, and you got to be associated with positive people. You can't buy negativity. You can't buy in negativity. You can't watch the news. Yeah, half hour, once or twice a day. It's fine. Don't be. I love Facebook, but I can't spend 6 hours on Facebook. I'll go on, I'll go off, I'll go on. I'll go on a couple of times because I like to stay connected to our community. But you can't live on Facebook or Instagram. You have to invest in yourself. So that's my advice would be is we will, I promise you, if you don't give up, you will get through this. I promise 100%, but you can't give up, and you have to use that time wisely and invest. And I'm not cutting, personally, because I saved, I won't cut anything back. I do see a lot of people have to cut things back. And to be honest with you, that's where I pick up. Because if realtors are cutting back, they're not out there. I'm out there. And so if you still want to make sure that you're reaching out to your clientele and developing new ways, less expensive ways to reach your clientele and get your message out there.
I love it, Mike. So I appreciate you coming on. I think a lot of people are going to see this video and know that the guy at the top of the game is saying, guys, we're fine. We're going to be fine. This is how you want to adapt with it. And I think adapt is the key word to that. And, this is a warning shot across the bow in terms of looking at your business or your business model. This is not the one that sinks the ship. So, take a look at it, revamp, and then when that time comes, when you're in a 90 to 96 segment, you were prepared because you had this, come straight across the ship. But in the meantime, harness in, relax, in terms of, no sense of being overridden by fear, and focus on yourself and growing your business. And this is the time to do it, because when everything starts back up, you're not going to have the time to refocus on yourself because you're going to be out there grinding every day. So take the time now to go about it. So Mike, I appreciate your time as always, man. And I don't know, is there anything else you want to leave, or you kind of covered everything?
I should have worn my hard money banker's hoodie. I'm so sorry, man.
Okay.
I got my Eagles thing on, so if you can say it.
Yeah,
anyway.
That's but you're getting that vitamin D. You're feeling good. You look good. 300 push-ups today, more than everybody watching this combined did today, guaranteed.
So. My goal, it's funny, for the year I was like, okay, I'm going to do 100. My nephew came over for the holidays, and he said he does 300 push-ups a day.
Oh, there's a challenge going. Yeah.
Would you got to be kidding me? So I said, I'm going to do 100 a day. But now for this downturn, I'm doing 250 a day for this downturn until it stops. So anyway.
Dude, some people are wired differently, and you're one of them. You're one of them, man. Gosh damn.
Okay, man.
All right. Appreciate it.
Always love listening to you. I appreciate it, and keep on keeping on. And I know that you will survive. I know that you will grow. I know that in a year or 2, 5 years from now, we'll be like, can you remember that time, Mike? And you will be much more successful because you invest in yourself, you invest in the business, and you care about your clients. I know that personally.
Thanks, Mike. You're the man.
Okay,
we'll be in touch. All right. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.